Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. All right, joining me via Zoom, you can hear him as the voice of the Arkansas Razorbacks I was going to say football, but baseball team. He does some football stuff too, and basketball, and voice of women's basketball, also ESPN Arkansas. He is also my college baseball correspondent. And Phil Elson, let me ask you this. I usually ask you once a year, and you said, no, Torres, anytime you need me. Well, here we are. Arkansas is headed to Omaha, and I think I've hit you up about 3 times in like the last 10 days. Did you think you'd be getting this much Torres in June of 2025? Because, I'm spreading you pretty thin here, man. I am.
I thought I would because I thought they would keep winning. And so, yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want to have me on if they lose.
That's true.
Because what are we previewing then? So there's something about this team, Aaron, that's just different than the last 2 teams I've covered here, even a little different than the teams that have already made it to the College World Series before and the one that came really close to winning it. There's something that's really special about this team, and it stands out. The way they get along, the little things they do, the attention to detail, the focus on the moment at hand, and then the way that they just kind of celebrated their super regional championship through the stands at this ballpark where I'm doing this segment with you in Fayetteville. I've never seen anything like it. And there's a reason I think that they're the betting favorite for the national championship. It's just, I think the second best team in the field is also on their side of the bracket, and they got to play them on Saturday in LSU, which is just going to be a crazy, crazy atmosphere in Omaha.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll talk about all that, but I actually did want to start with a lot of what you just said because, it's funny whenever you talk to anybody, you never want to put the cart before the horse with a team or with a program or with whatever. I hate to say it. I also know, the history of Arkansas, and I know that sometimes, even Arkansas fans don't like being favored or expectations or whatever. But it did kind of stand out to me the last 2 weekends, even going into last weekend against the defending champs. I know they struggled, but you seemed very confident that team was going to take care of business in the manner in which they did. Maybe not a 2-game sweep, but I don't know. I find it interesting. You have seemed to have a confidence about this group, and I'm curious, as a guy who spends every day from February to June with this team, why you felt that way.
Well, I feel like they play as mistake-free as a team that I've watched covering this club. And in baseball, good teams take advantage of opponents' mistakes and don't make a lot of their own. Mistakes in baseball are walks by your pitchers, hit batters by your pitchers, misplays in the field, double plays you don't turn, missed opportunities to take an extra base when you're running the bases. And a lot of it has to do with a lack of attention to detail and sometimes just focusing on what we view as the big things in baseball, which might be putting together good at-bat, the ability to hit the ball for power, throwing hard, making a play in the field. But there's just so many little things that this team specializes in. I didn't have any problem thinking that they would dominate the Fayetteville Regional because the teams they played needed walks and needed hit by pitches from the opponent. Arkansas just doesn't do it. And they have the kind of lineup that can really, really frighten a lot of other teams. Either they're out of the strike zone, or if you come into the strike zone, they'll give you reason to be out of the strike zone. And I think that was also on display in this weekend against Tennessee, because Tennessee is an incredibly talented team. I think if you were just to look at amount of power on the teams, the kind of velocity on the teams, the ability to throw strikes for these two teams, they were quite similar. The differences were subtle things. Scoring from third on a wild pitch that bounced 4 feet away. Not one of those wild pitches that bounces all the way to the backstop. It's the subtle ability of knowing how to lead off a base, how to get the proper secondary lead, how to read the pitch as it's coming to the plate, and then take your chance when you see it. That happened twice from the same player, Cam Kojal, who has become, I think, the leader of this team. And the strikes, and the ability to get the ball by teams. But it's just it's a complete team, Aaron. And what makes them complete isn't that they have a good pitching staff and they have a good lineup and they're tough to pitch to. It's because when you're a complete team, you do all those little things that make sure your opponent doesn't get an extra base and that you do get the extra base when you're batting.
Seems like a Dave Van Horn thing. I think most people listening to this probably, I'll be honest, probably Arkansas fans, but for either people who don't follow baseball until this time of year or people who are new to Arkansas or just like it feels like he has a very even keeled demeanor, not too high, not too low. And I feel like that might be a reflection of a team that does all the little things right. And listen,
Yeah.
I'm a Tony Vitello guy, but obviously, you have an emotional coach. Sometimes it leads to emotional players, and it just feels like Arkansas is kind of the exact opposite.
I think Tony's a great head coach. I really do. But Dave's fiery, but I think it's more of a controlled kind of a burn. And the things that he specializes in, Dave's a great head coach because he trusts the people that he hires. And his Matt Hobbs, he's the guy who manages all the pitching. And Nate Thompson is managing all the hitting and the scouting reports and all of that kind of stuff. The things that Dave specializes in are a lot of those little things: infield play, base running, those are his specialties. Dave was a second baseman and a really good one. So if I'm talking about two plays to stand out to me that make a difference in the super regional and a difference in the two programs that just played in the super, I'd already mentioned about Kojal scoring from third base on a wild pitch in the second inning on Saturday on a pitch that bounced away just 4 feet. And and it's because of Kojal's instincts, but it's also because of the focus on that kind of play with this program. There was another play in that game. The second baseman for Tennessee, Dean Curley, there's a line drive that Reese Robinette hits in the sixth inning of that game, a little camel hump line drive. It had a little topspin on it, so it goes up and down, and it snuck under the kid's glove. He should have made the play. A major league second baseman makes that play 10 out of 10 times. Arkansas second baseman probably makes that play 9 out of 10 times. He didn't make that play, and he should have. That led to a run. Those two runs, they won the game 4-3. They don't score those two runs, they lose 3-2. That's all Dave Van Horn, Aaron, because those are the things he preaches and teaches and specializes in, and it's ingrained in them.
I feel like the sentiment, it feels like from a distance, sentiment from the fan base when it for Dave is that too dramatic, too cliche, too whatever.
No, I don't think it is because I remember seeing the same thing with Mike Martin at Florida State. Um, it's a matter of being so respected that even your opponents that you recruit against and that you coach against and even sometimes might shout at each other every once in a while, they all know how difficult the job is, especially as a head coach in the SEC, which is a mini major league. It's a grind. And I think Dave has earned and engendered that respect by the way he's built this program, the way that they play. Any coach can appreciate the attention to detail for this program. Anybody can. And he's worthy of that kind of respect from this fan base and from others. And I've seen it from other fan bases too that hate the Razorbacks, but respect Dave Van Horn and feel he's worthy of a national title. And he is. He already has one, by the way. I mean, he coached Central Missouri to a Division II national title in his only year as a Division II head coach. He just hasn't won it at Division One, and it's coming. It's coming.
Well, let's transition then to what comes ahead in Omaha. What you mentioned, the fact that Arkansas now, and they were probably, and I think we talked about this last week, them sort of being perceived as the public favorite going into the super regionals. But, I mean, I saw some betting odds, and they are officially the favorite going into Omaha. By the way, I should mention for people who are kind of catching this and whenever, all 8 spots are not determined as of yet. I think, what is it, Duke, Murray State? There's 1 or 2 others that have not yet been decided. That's the other one. Yeah. So do you think, having said what you said about the team, the demeanor of the team, all that, do you think it changes anything now that you are officially, no doubt about it, the favorites going into Omaha?
No, I don't think so because I think they've played with a quiet confidence where it's not like they show up at the ballpark and say, well, we're the best team in the nation, but they play like it. And I think the confidence shows itself. But I also think LSU is the same way, and it's just like with Tennessee. You may end up playing LSU two or three times in that bracket. You've already played LSU three times this year in Baton Rouge, lost two out of three, three close game, well, one close game, and then a couple that were not. And it's two fan bases that are passionate about it, two teams that I think are showing up knowing that they're playing the other team that's the
Yeah.
best other than them. And winning that first game is just going to go a long, long way. You never know, though, with this sport. Nobody would have thought Coastal Carolina would have won that thing in 2016. Nobody would have thought that. This is a crazy game sometimes, Aaron. I mean, they had a catcher the other day, I think Coastal, that had hit what? Five home runs in the air, hit two home runs in the game. At Auburn, which is a tough place to play. So it's a crazy game. You never really know. But if you're going by talent, Arkansas and LSU are the two best. And I also think that they pay probably the closest attention to detail of the teams that I've watched this year too. Um, it's going to be great. But the pressure doesn't get to this team. I don't think they feel pressure. I think they're insulated from it just through the relationships they have with the coaches and with themselves. I know you can't say that about every team. Some teams, it's not that they're sensitive, but they pay attention to what's happening, might not necessarily believe in everybody on the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not this team. They have a confidence in each other, and that plays itself out in the way that they play. They trust each other.
So let's start to look ahead. LSU on Saturday. That game is set. Like I said, I think there's two or three spots still up for grabs as we record, but LSU-Arkansas is set again. Set it up for those of us who maybe don't watch on a day in, day out basis, but then obviously contextualize it for people that do know these teams pretty well.
Well, I mean, it's two powerful lineups. You're going to see a pitching matchup of Cade Anderson for LSU and Zach Root for Arkansas. Anderson already is going to be a first-round pick. Root, this start he made against Tennessee this
Yeah.
last week, AT, was amazing. His battles with Andrew Fisher are going to turn into the stuff of legends. And the only reason I'm bringing it up is because he was so amped up that he threw his fastest pitch of the year by 4 miles an hour, or maybe it was
Wow.
three.
Still.
The last pitch he threw to Fisher for a strikeout was 99 miles an hour. That's not Zach Root. He's 95, 96 at tops. But maybe there's a little more there for him. And he went 7 innings and he looked tremendous. And he pitched really well against this LSU team the first time around. It's just they came back against the Arkansas bullpen, which is really difficult to do, which also says about sometimes that has a little more to do with the place you're playing. The box is really tough in Baton Rouge, and they always end up having magic there. This Saturday game, because this is the same matchup of a game on May the 9th at Alex Box Stadium that started at 9:57 at night because of rain,
Ooh.
went over 10 innings, and Arkansas lost 5-4. It was the kind of game that you really had a lot of trouble going to sleep after because it was already after midnight. You had to play in the afternoon the next day, and the Hogs were dazed from that ball game. It was one of the best games of the year. It just didn't go in their favor. And I'd expect the same, not the delay or anything, but I'd expect a really tight one on Saturday.
LSU, what do people need to know that maybe don't know them as well? I mean, I know they got the two starters because I know the Saturday starter or whatever their number two starter was. I watched one of their games in the regional and he was awesome. He was a California kid. That was what kind of caught my attention. I think he played at one of
Yeah.
the UC schools, whatever. But I know you said fundamental, all that. So what else do people need to know?
Well, so the other pitcher you're talking about is Anthony Ianson.
That's the name, yeah.
One thing about LSU is that they're very right-handed. They do have a really good left-handed freshman hitter in Derek Curiel, one of the best freshmen in the country that kind of sets the tone for them. The guy that really hurt Arkansas in the first series was their DH, Ethan Fry, right-handed hitter. He's a really good run producer, line drive hitter, doesn't strike out very much. And bats right in the middle of the order for them. I think they've made a change at third base recently just to get a little bit more offense. I like the shortstop Milam a lot. He was a second baseman last year. He's an exciting player. Jared Jones is a guy that was around for their national championship a couple years ago, and he's had himself a really powerful season too. So I don't think it's quite the same powerful lineup for LSU that we've been used to in some of the national championship years, but it's a really good, strong lineup. But yeah, it's those two starting pitchers that stand out amongst anybody. And they also have a good closer in Zach Cowan that they've used to, I think, start a game or two. But you don't want to let him get in the game because the Hogs really couldn't figure him out. But they hit Anderson pretty well. I mean, they scored 3 runs on Anderson in 5 2/3. WVU put it up on him. Arkansas can get around on Cade Anderson. They're just going to need their lefties to come up big against him, and these lefties do well against lefties too.
The only other question I have, like I said, full field is not set yet. We're recording here Monday afternoon, going into the final few super regional games. I know you probably haven't been able to do a ton of prep work on everybody else, but what else intrigues you? Your Oregon State Beavers, who I'm kind of rooting for them too. I mean, obviously, I don't want to say that. A lot of Arkansas fans listening probably don't like me saying that, but with what happened to the Pac-12, I'm happy to see them having success. UCLA, that stupid regional that started Saturday at like 4 p.m. and then 1 p.m. I couldn't get to the games. I wanted to go to the games, but so we got a couple teams. So we got LSU, Coastal. I think 5 or 6 are set. Just general thoughts on the field going forward.
Well, for one, I mean, the college football killed a great baseball league. There are 3 former
Right?
Pac-12 schools
Yes.
that are here. That would be the most of any conference. And the Pac-12 was a great baseball league. Oregon State, UCLA, and Arizona. So now UCLA gets to wave the Big Ten banner, and Arizona gets to wave the Big 12 banner, and Oregon State gets to wave their own banner
Yeah, Oregon State banner,
as
yep.
as an independent school. So that stands out to me. But I also love in today's day and age of college sports, especially from what I remember seeing in the NCAA in March Madness with men's basketball, when it was really just about the big name schools. You got now Coastal Carolina's got a recent national championship, but that's still Sun Belt. Sun Belt's a really good baseball league. I equate them a little to like the American in football sometimes, maybe even a little bit better than that. And if Murray State pulls this off, the Missouri Valley Conference has been a really good conference for a long time. Just haven't had a team in Omaha in a long time. I love the thought of baseball being a sport that's always had movement. It's always had movement. This transfer portal thing, it's just kind of kicked it a little bit into a higher gear, but it shows mid-majors can still get through, and that's good for this sport. I'm wondering if that'll be the case with, obviously, it's not the case with football, and I wonder if it'll be the case with men's basketball. But baseball is a great equalizer. Talent doesn't always equate success, and that'll be good for this league. So those are things that stand out just about the field.
Let me real quick. I wanted to get you out of here, but something we haven't talked about because it just happened. The house settlement is we look at it from a football basketball perspective, but baseball rosters are going to be expanded, or I don't know. You could explain it better than me. But is that going to hurt the mid majors and an opportunity for a Coastal Carolina or somebody like this to do it year over year? I mean, it's always going to, because obviously the best schools are going to have the most money. But I mean, does that impact things in an even bigger way?
What's changing is that you could have 40 players on a roster now, but only 11.7 scholarships. Well, now you'll be able to have 34 players on a team and as many scholarships as your conference agrees upon, and really whatever the school wants to do. So there's fewer players, more scholarships. So if you're taking away 6 players from every team in the SEC, where are they going to go? They're going to go play mid-major probably, or in some cases. So I think it'll be a good thing for the mid majors. There'll be a little bit of a filter down of baseball talent, and it's not a bad thing for mid majors. Now, also the house settlement does a situation where schools have to figure out, what does this sport mean to you financially? What do you want to put into it? And the SEC is a league where they're going to put resources into it, especially a place like Arkansas, especially a place like LSU, Ole Miss, Tennessee. So I don't know if it's a matter of the rich getting richer, because there are more decisions for the coaches to make. They'll have to be at 34 players by December 1st. So they can have a fall ball and then they can make their cuts, but it's more cuts than they've had to make in a long time. And that's not the easiest thing, but I think it'll be good for mid-major teams.
All right. Well, Phil Elson, you got a busy week ahead of you, man. You can hear Phil Monday through Friday on halftime. I think I'll be on Friday. Yeah, you guys don't got a game on Friday. I'll be on with you Friday.
Yep.
Yeah. What's the travel itinerary? When do you get into town? When's your first Jello shot? Give us all the details.
I stay out of Rocco's. I mean, I've been in
Gotcha.
a Rocco's for a drink, but I'm not doing the Jello shots.
Yeah.
I go to Omaha. I want to eat steak, Aaron.
Sure.
It's a
I've heard.
beef town, so I'm looking for the thickest, juiciest, cowboy ribeye that I can get at the Drover, as long as I can get up to the bar, because I'm not into like making reservations. I think the team leaves Wednesday. I don't think I'll leave until Friday. So I was just gonna try to get a little prep done and make sure I got enough lawn. Got to figure out how many days to pack for it, because this can be a 10 or 11 day tournament, and I'm not packing 10 or 11 days worth of clothing. I've always said you want to have a goal by the end of the season that you had to do road laundry in Omaha. So I'm
Yes.
planning. I'm bring a week's worth of clothes and then hopefully do road laundry in Omaha.
It's tough these days. Southwest bags don't fly for free anymore. It's they're out to get us. But 11 days is a long time, but I expect you to be there throughout. Um, Thank you for the time, man. That's all I really got. And dude, thank you for the time. Safe travels to Omaha. I'll talk to you on Friday on your show. And America appreciates it, man. You've been appreciate your time, and we'll talk on Friday. Okay, Phil Elson, ESPN halftime, Arkansas baseball. And by the way, I hope you're having fun doing all this too, because it's been fun to watch from a distance.
This is what it's all about. This is why I'm here, and you can never take it for granted. I love it, and I appreciate you having me on, AT. Thank you.